Welcome to another Mitch's Media Musings media podcast from the offices of Left's Atlantic Media and Mitch's Media Match. Today we're talking with Chuck Reese, the editor of a new media outlet here in town called The Bitter Southerner. Chuck, tell me a little bit about what The Bitter Southerner is all about.
Well, Mitch, The Bitter Southerner was an idea that actually came up about 2 years ago. My fiancée at the time, the woman who is now my wife, and I took a vacation to New Orleans.
Give her a name, Chuck. Give her a name.
Her name is Stacy Shuker Reese.
There you go.
And she and I went to New Orleans about a year, or actually 2 years ago, and we spent a week down there and kind of got fascinated with going to some of the old bars in New Orleans, because you find these bartenders there who are really, really good at their craft, and they are able to create drinks that really sort of reflect the culture of New Orleans, which is one of the most interesting cultures in America, I think. And I got home after that trip, and very shortly thereafter I saw a thing on the web about where a trade magazine for people in the bar business called Drinks International had convened a panel of experts, and they had created a list of what this panel deemed were the 50 best bars in the world, and there wasn't a single bar in the American South on that list, and I was a little flummoxed by that, having just had such great experiences in New Orleans, and I came back and I started talking to my friend Dave Whitling, who is now my partner in The Bitter Southerner. He's an art director and a designer, and told him I had this idea that I wanted to do a website called The Bitter Southerner that was about cocktails in the South. And the bitter part was just a play on the fact that bitters tend to be a key ingredient in any cocktail that people make. And so we started working on this at night and on weekends, around our regular jobs. And the more we worked on it, the more we felt like, wow, this should be about something bigger than just cocktails. And one day we were talking, and an old song by the band from Athens called the Drive-By Truckers sort of came up in the conversation, and the song had a line in it about, quote, the duality of the Southern thing, close quote. And we were like, that's what this thing needs to be about. We just need to explore that duality from every possible angle we can. And we decided as we did that to just stick with the name, because it is a bit of a double entendre, and people can read different things into it, and I think a little mystery along those lines is always appealing.
Well, and it is, like I said, it's memorable. It sticks in the brain a little bit. So obviously the site has evolved, so it's not just about bars and drinking now. So it's a little bit wider now, right?
Yeah, we're taking that duality of the Southern thing quite seriously in terms of what we cover. It basically means that we can cover anything that's going on in the South, whether it be things that are happening to the culture of the South, things that are happening in the science and innovation communities. There's always expectations, I think, that are put not only on individuals and artists and writers and people like that, but also even on business people and entrepreneurs from the South. Because, the dominant cultural stereotype is that if you have a Southern accent, you're not very smart. And, we see that's an idea that's been reinforced on television and in the movies since time immemorial. And I just kind of feel like that not enough people really understand what a vibrant and culturally interesting place the South actually is. And, so we want to look at both sides of that equation as much as we can. And the truth is, if we can just find an interesting story told well, that sort of fits us thematically. We don't really care what it's about. We just want to make a great showcase for great storytellers telling stories about great things.
Do you have some particular topics that are on your hot list of stories right now?
Well, tomorrow we're going to run an essay from Charles McNair, who is a fiction writer here in town, and Charles's second novel, long-awaited second novel, he's been working on it for about 19 years, comes out on September 20th. It's called Pickett's Charge, and on the side tomorrow we're going to have not only an excerpt from Pickett's Charge read by Charles, so people can listen to the audio of that, but also an essay that Charles wrote for us that it's called Denise McNair and Me. And next week is the 50th anniversary of the 16th Street church bombing in Birmingham, which happened in 1964, and as everyone knows, killed 4 innocent young African-American girls. And the youngest of those was an 11-year-old named Denise McNair. And the essay is about how the fact that he shared a last name with Denise, who was about his age, always kind of haunted Charles, and how this violence that he saw happen as a young person in his home state of Alabama, how he had to wrestle with that and sort of come to terms with the fact that maybe some of the traditions he had been raised with were not suggestive of the path he ought to follow as an adult. So, tomorrow is going to be a really serious look at issues of race in the South. The following week we're going to do a piece about great Southern soul music. We really are wide open to anything. We want to write about chefs and farmers and scientists and innovators, anyone who's doing something in the South that the rest of the world might not think possible in our region. Anything that fits those lines is going to be of interest to us, particularly if the story is well told and we can bring it to life visually on the web.
Okay. So, I think you mentioned you guys are coming out. You come out with a new edition on Tuesdays. Is that right?
That's right. Every Tuesday.
Okay. So, pretty much Tuesday. Not necessarily new content throughout the week, but pretty much on Tuesdays.
Yeah, we're kind of if you're wondering what's different about the Bitter Southerner is we really want to play with the idea of publishing periodically on the web. I think the conventional wisdom is that for a website to succeed, it has to be generating a constant flow of content that it sends out to its readers. And part of the reason we wanted to challenge that was because we really feel like that if you present the story correctly, then people they'll read longer pieces on the web, and we wanted to do longer form kinds of stuff. And the truth is we settled on once a week because given the fact that we're working on this at nights and weekends around our regular work, once a week was about the best we could do.
Right.
But we're it's been interesting to see the reader response to that, because if you read the emails and the messages we get on Facebook and tweets, it seems like people have they like the idea of not being bombarded. They like the idea of kind of sort of wondering what we're going to be up to the next Tuesday, and there's a little sense of anticipation that's built up, I think, and that's not something really that we expected, but it's kind of a happy circumstance.
Well, it's a little bit of kind of like appointment viewing. They can plan. Tuesday nights is going to be their bitter Southerner night or Wednesday morning, and it's a way for them to remember what your deadline is or what your publication date is, as opposed to that always publishing all the time kind of thing.
Yeah, it is really interesting. I mean, the very first, the night we launched, the night we just ran that introductory story, kind of explaining about what we intended to do. People, without urging by us, invented the Twitter hashtag Bitter Tuesday and started passing that around, and we knew pretty quickly when we saw that people liked the idea of us maybe being just out there once a week and giving them something that they could look forward to.
So you'll be, I would think you'll have a number of contributing writers in addition to your regular staff writing for the website.
Well, staff is a relative term. Nobody's making any money.
Yeah,
on this
I got you. I got you.
I serve as the editor. I'm going to write the periodical piece myself. We want to use other people, not just in Atlanta, but all over the South. It's not the bitter Atlantan, it's the bitter Southerner.
Right.
And we've had a lot of great writers and photographers offer to help us out in cities, all over the South, and we're trying to sort out all of those things right now. But before long, you're going to see us do some pieces about things going on in Asheville, North Carolina, and Nashville, Tennessee, and other towns that are around the region.
Okay, so if you're a company or a bar or a restaurant and you have what you think might be a good story idea, would you be the person to go to?
Yeah, I would. It's becoming apparent to me that because we don't exactly fit that constant flow of content mold that the web is known for. We've only got 52 spots a year if we're only doing this weekly.
Right.
And most of the stories that we do are big, and even if they're about something that people know about already, we want them to be done in a distinctive and unexpected way, which means we're not going to do things like, restaurant reviews or, cocktail reviews or that kind of thing, but we are going to write about people who are doing interesting things culturally in Atlanta, and I really do mean, when I say culturally, I mean all of culture around the South, which includes business, which includes science, which includes finance, and all of the things on the business side of the world, as well as all the cultural things that are out there too.
Okay. All right. So to find the bitter Southerner, people go
to bittersoutherner.com.
And Facebook?
Facebook, it's facebook.com/bittersoutherner, and on Twitter, we are at bittersouth. Evidently, Bitter Southerner has too many characters to be a Twitter handle, so we are at bittersouth.
Okay, and let's see, and your email?
Chuck at bittersoutherner.com.
Excellent. All right, we're talking with Chuck Reese, the editor of the Bitter Southerner. Check it out online. Chuck, thanks for being with us today.
Always glad to talk to you, Mitch. Anytime.
Thanks for being with us today, and remember, you can always visit us online at leftsatlantamendia.com or mitchesmediamatch.com.